Hi all, Kate Makura or Makarak here, bringing you my Fodder School 4 challenge and first half of the year projects. I'm going to start off with my challenge lessons in the order that we did them, and the first one are these fun mushrooms with Tracy Wozniak. I really did a bunch of different colors and shapes and got super addicted to making these, so I made a lot. I've used quite a few now as well, but it's fun to kind of take them out and take a peek at what I'd made and what I can use them for. So I'm sure they'll become useful in the future, and I think that you'll actually see a few of them as we go through the projects that I've made this year as well. After the mushrooms, we have mixed media polaroids with Rebecca Chapman. This ended up being a project that I super loved and kind of went overboard on, so I made, I think, 3 different sets where we used a couple of collage fodder pieces and photos of flowers that we kind of drew extra embellishments on and then sewed them onto these card pieces. So lots of different shapes and interest in there. This is definitely one of those projects where I got to use the colors I like, got to use little bits of collaging, and just really enjoy how they came together. So much so that I made a lot of them. So here we go. Quite a few to look through. The next artist was Amanda Trout, and we did art on dried leaves. This was definitely something new to me. I love collecting leaves for an eco-dyeing course I was doing at the same time, and it was nice to kind of go out and see the random urban tree tour I didn't know existed in the city I live in, and then play with these using Amanda's neat techniques. So some of them were just embellished leaves, and some of them are these little clusters that turned out really nice. We did these in October, and it is currently almost April, so they seem to be holding up quite well. Some of them have sewn details, and some of them are painted. Lots of kind of fun pieces there, but another one where once you start, it's hard to stop, and I just wanted to keep going. So, such a fun new kind of technique to play with. Definitely never worked with leaves like that before. After Amanda is Jack Ravi's Memory Metals. So these ended up going on a bit of a different turn for me. You're supposed to use old pictures, but I used pop sci-fi images and women. That one says overqualified. Kind of went on a feminist thing there, which I often do using some old sheets. This one says keep growing. That was an extra picture that I had with Rebecca's Polaroids. And then do it anyway. That was another of my feminist kind of feel. I actually block printed the fabric for the fabric of that one. And then my favorite one, which is this funny Stay Weird robot with some lace and some more vintage sheets. So a lot of fun with those metals as well. Next up, we have Angela Kennedy, who has taught me from this fodder challenge that I actually can draw faces, and they look like people. So that was a huge eye-opener to me, because I definitely struggled with that and avoided it pretty much my whole life. And then made these fun Rolodex cards, which was also fun because I collect Rolodexes from thrift stores, thinking that I will turn them into like art pieces, but then usually don't. So useful. Next up, we have Stephanie Lee and her texture magic that we did. I really, really enjoyed this one, which I guess I'm saying for all of them, but lots of playing on different substrates with her secret recipe texture. And I've actually used a few of these. I did some with this kind of fern print and some leaves and different things. That's on some fabric and like a tag here. And just so neat how it's still like flexible, usable stencils and drawing. And I think I'm going to show you the piece of fern that I did that I really liked, but I've used it since then, so I couldn't show it. And then after we had Liz Constable, where we played with rubber stamps. This was another little photo challenge lesson where I took it to an extreme. So I made this pretty epic book out of it using rubber stamps that I had, which I didn't think I had that many of, but definitely enough to make into a neat little book. So lots of little details. And Liz is always a joy to watch and learn from. She's one of those people that just fills you with all those happy endorphins, I guess. And funny squirrel in a party hat. And lots of different techniques that we used in here. There's those mushrooms that we said was going to show up at some point, and here they are. And lots of fodder that I'd had as well. That's actually a piece of fodder that I had left over from Fodder School 3. So it's kind of fun to bring those little parts out. And Liz actually used this same set of fish stamps that I bought in Victoria a couple of years ago and don't play with enough. It was really funny to see someone else have the same stamp set. I actually bought those geese stamps as well in Victoria, so it was a good, fun trip. And yeah, lots of different feels with the cuts through things and different stamps and textures, pattern paper. Oh, another mushroom. Yeah. And I used some of those papers from Fodder School 2 Liz lessons, which was really nice. And then I made myself a little stamped paper button to wrap it with, which I was particularly proud of, so probably why I'm showing it here. Neat. The next up was Sally Hurst and her found impressions. So I used some buttons, which I have here. We did some masks as well, which is what the ferns are, and more of those buttons. Really neat technique that I had never heard of before, that I'm sure Sally had come up with, but really got some interesting results. So that was kind of fun. And I also did one with some random rusty metal bits from Fodder School 3, so like a key and nails and things. And it was fun to play around with. I think the first set I made I was really not pleased with, but decided to try and just go and try it again and see how it went. So there's one of my most favorite pages, and then there's the buttons that I used as well. Next up we have Lisa Young, and we made these vintage embellished tags. And that was another one where I kind of took it and rolled with it. It's really fun to add the different layers and strings on there and use up. I think I used some of the extra papers from the mushrooms to make those as well. So neat little project, and yeah, little ribbons and things that I hoard. And then next we have Carrie Smith, and we made Sacred Hearts. I kind of did my own twist on it using my colors and the Mexican printable that she used as well. So there's some Frida Kahlo and some good colors there. And then last we had Megan Quinlan making these paper doll animals. And as I've said a few times now, kind of went overboard on these. I definitely collect a lot of old books with illustrations in them that I like to cut up and use. So this felt like one of those things where I was like, I have all of these animals and they're going to have ridiculous outfits and it's going to be so much fun. So haven't decided what I'm going to do with these, but I certainly have a plethora of cutely dressed, sort of anthropomorphic animals. Like a bunny with a hairband. Yep. Oh, that one's my favorite for sure. So an epic October took us into November, which was our first full month with Jack Ravi. We ended up doing these really neat tea rust bundle dye process on these papers, and I ended up doing a bonus lesson on making ink from the leftover dye bath. We also made these sigils, so these symbols that mean different things, and I carved them. That one means I'm resilient. This one is we are all equal. I believe this one was live with intention. So that I've really kind of started onward and didn't stop. I just couldn't stop making them. They were so much fun. Happiness and positivity. That one I actually carved on the wrong side, so I had to do it twice. This one, stay curious. And it's kind of fun to have these like symbols that have meaning. This one's keep learning. It's one of my favorite ones that I made, and just like, oh, I loved this so much. We rise by lifting others. Perfectly imperfect, I believe. And spread kindness. And stay strong, keep going. So quite a few sigils that we did end up using in these little tin books that we made. Alchemy of Memory is what Jack called the course. And then we have these amazing little books that fit inside that little tin. And all of those eco-bundle dyed papers put together to make this just like beautiful, really fun project. I ended up going on a feminist theme for this one, so there's definitely some undertones laying in there, but just like absolutely loved it. So lots of different ways to decorate the old photos, and I actually did some braille marks in here as well. And embroidery, there's one of the sigils that I did, and you can see all of the like textures. I'm not usually someone who uses much black, but this really like got in there. This woven, this was a woman holding a cat. More of the stamps and interesting things there. There's some of the little rusty bits that I sewed on. There is nothing stronger than a woman who has rebuilt herself. I liked that. Yeah. Each time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women. This was actually from a UBC annual, so a University of British Columbia yearbook from 1955. And I found it in the book recycle bins here. And my daughter asked me why it was all men and why they all looked the same. And that was the moment that I was like, okay, well, I clearly need to make this the point of this whole book, because she's right. They are all men. She overcame everything that was meant to destroy her. So kind of went on a tangent with this one, but it was really fun. And it's kind of neat to see, imagine what all of these people's lives were with. Feminism isn't about making women strong. Women are already strong. It's about changing the way the world perceives this strength. And that's another one where it's stamped over top. Yeah, so lots of little clusters and things. This is the same photo that I did both sides of in different ways. Life isn't a competition, it's a collaboration. And all those colors in there. And some stitching. We rise, we heal, we overcome. And stitching on the other side as well, with the old pictures. And there's a little bit of that block printed fabric I did. And a really angry looking cat. More of that sashiko embroidery. Turn your wounds into wisdom. That's what I thought was interesting on the other side of the embroidery, the like messy part that, can be behind the beauty. Nobody gets to tell you who you are. Oh, my waxed thread there is a little stuck, but more of that block printed fabric from Fodder School 3 as well, that I put in my dye bundles. I love this one. And the stitching that we have in there, and some staples, old ledger paper, dyed some stuff as well. This one I burnt a hole through, which actually ended up being kind of scary because my paper lit on fire. But it survived, so there we are. We made it to the end. So definitely a labor of love, that one. Just enjoyed every second of it. Jack was such a great teacher, and so many techniques that I learned to have this lovely little keepsake. Next was December with Sally Hurst, and we got to do a lot more gel printing, and we ended up making coasters. So this is the set that I made for me. I ended up going heavily into that like starburst asterisk theme with these fun little collaged coasters, and we have cork on the back. As it was December, I ended up making 2 more sets that I gave out for gifts, and thankfully, I recorded them before I get them out so I could show them in the video. This was a guitar-themed set that I made for my dad. He actually gave me a bunch of popular mechanics encyclopedias that he thinks that my mom gave him in like the 70s, and I ended up using some of those guitar pages as the basis for the gel prints that I used, and he's a big guitar fan, so that's where that one went. And then this set went to my in-laws, as they like birds, and blue. So I kind of tried to go on a bird and blue theme with my papers and marks and things. And yeah, I think those turned out really nice too. So thanks to Sally for such a great project. January was with the most fabulous Liz Constable. There was also a bonus that Suzanne Randers did about making clusters, which I usually struggle with. And then as soon as Suzanne posted that bonus, I really took off with it and made quite the selection of little clusters. And I actually used my own carved stamp designs as the focal points there. So lots that I've done before, and just like loved combining those neat papers and fabrics and things. And then used some of them as well in our ever-evolving fodder journal. This was another kind of like epic book creation that was just so wonderful. Different than the other lessons that Liz did in Fodder School 2, which was another like really spectacular one. And I made another paper button, just like I did in her challenge project, just using the papers that we made. And then I'm going to flip through this big, chunky, delicious book. It says, "So the adventure begins." And I did a lot of decorating on these pages, but not all of them, with holes and stamps. There's one of my clusters from a bird that I did. There's sewing on these pages. There's a piece of vintage bedsheet. More of the circles and that same thistle stamp that I used in the other one with some tabs. And I do collect a lot of old books that I use with the pages for these, so it's kind of fun. And different doodling. I'd really like to add some more words, maybe make it into like a quote journal eventually, but you can only do so much in a month, so this was a pretty big one. Can't believe the texture and interest that you can get with all those pages, and using all the colors that I really love, so it's fun. There's those fish. And there's a little hint of this pink and yellow. Yeah, I really love that warm golden yellow color. I also ended up making those big circle stamps. I made a set of 4 of them. Enjoy the little things, and those asterisks that we used in December. And more of the just like amazing paper. With brave wings she flies. And a bird. And there's my circle stamps on the left page there, another one of my clusters. Make your own path. Oh, I love the colors of that. And there's a map, which maybe I was doing a play on words with, sort of. Spread kindness. Oh, pages stuck together. So much texture and detail in there. I just can't believe it. Those pages. Just want to pet them. Yeah, sound a little bit crazy. But if you do one of Liz's courses, you also will want to pet all of your papers. Maybe. Or I'm just weird. But that's okay either way. There's a card in there. Sewn on some transparent papers. More of those circles. Lots of circles. Circle hole in the page as well. This was a quote that Liz put up that said, "What the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls a butterfly. Let your creativity blossom." And that was just such a good quote. Really motivational to me, so needed to include it there. The road to success is always under construction, which Lily Tomlin said. One of my favorite people from when I was a kid. And probably still is. She's great. Your life isn't yours if you always care what others think. Wendy did a YouTube video about hand lettering that I watched and felt super motivated to do all my own hand lettering on for this book. And yeah, definitely recommend checking out her channel. And some tabs, little bits of paper. I think that was actually bundle dyed with Jack's Month. Another one of the little clusters. And I've got some stamped bits in here as well, kind of playing off of the Fodder Challenge months. These pages are just so beautiful. So much neat detail. Just can't believe it. And then some glued in clusters with stamps. Lots of circles. The colors in this book just bring me so much joy. And sewn lines. Got some extra fodder there. Really like using that old ledger paper. And more of the circles. And there's some bugs. Getting out my stamps again that I rarely use. And lots of holes. Liz also doesn't use scissors. And it's just like blows my mind. Be you, the world will adjust. And another one of those weird cats. And after doing her project and listening to her, I definitely also didn't want to use scissors. And the tools that she uses are just so inventive and fun. And like cutting holes without using a blade or scissors is definitely something new to me. Oh, a little cluster in a flap. That was an uppercase magazine cutout. Here's some mushrooms. So those are kind of fun. Keep growing. Don't shrink yourself to fit into places where you weren't meant to be. That was actually a bird placemat that I used in my papers. Oh, there's one of my sigils, I Am Resilient, that I made into a cluster. This stamp was actually my first stamp I ever did of that tree birds, and it says, "We all have a story to tell." Make a little flap there with some washi. That's fun. And more of those gorgeous papers, just the depth in there. Astounding to me. I've got a little cluster that I just stuck on with paper clip there. So I guess I could move it if I want. There's one of the Fodder School 3 tags that we made with Suzanne Randers, who's one of my favorites, so it's probably why I mention her so often. She's the one that got me into pink. I only used greens and blues and yellows before, and she really motivated me to do that one. Find the good in each day. Those blue papers. So beautiful. Live with intention. And some maps, I believe. Lots of old books. And there we have it. Oh! So proud of this. Such a fun, chunky, bright, lovely project. So thanks, Liz. February, we did these lovely paper ladies with Angela Kennedy. This time it was kind of an extension on the challenge lesson where we got to draw faces and paint them this time. And holy smokes, did I ever not think I could do that. And it was just so great. We also did some gel printing and watercolor. These are the ladies that I had left over, and then we made some cards as well. So I meant 3 different cards and added some details. We did some really neat gel printing. I ended up doing a bonus on making texture plates with a glue gun and cardboard. And then we ended up with these super fun ladies that I can't believe I actually made. So thanks, Angela. Awesome. And then the last month in the hop is March. And that was with Lisa Young. And we made these really neat tea kind of flip books. Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant, by R.L. Stevenson. This was a kind of mod flower theme, similar to what I was drawing and enjoying in Fodder School 3. And then I did a second one where I ended up using some stamps and watercolor and some words. So the more I give, the more I have. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. C.S. Lewis. And that's actually some pattern paper that I used in there as well, Grow. And here's a little tea tag that says, your breath fills you with energy anywhere and anytime you need it. I must have liked that. Don't know what tea that came from. Flowers need time to bloom. Those are ginkgo leaves from my dad's old ginkgo tree that are pressed in there. See beauty all around. Oh, lovely. So, lots of fun. Definitely going to be saving every tea bag I use for the next eternity. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. Well, that wraps up the first half of Fodder School 4. Special thank you to Jack Ravi, Sally Hurst, Liz Constable, Angela Kennedy, and Lisa Young. And can't wait to see what the second half brings us.